Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Grigsby's War in the West. So, to all of you who are new and returning war games alike, this is a superb and ultimately just absolutely fantastic war game. So, this is developed by 2x3 Games and published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. So, War in the West is an operational strategic war game which is turn-based, though the way the game operates is in different phases, which I will show you in this tutorial episode. So we're going to start off with the main menu here. So, relatively simple, we have difficulty settings over here. We're going to have that on normal for the time being. We are going to play as the Western Allies for this scenario. Game options, so you can see here the axis is computer controlled. Now if I was to be the axis, I could have control of the Eastern Front. Now the Eastern Front in War in the West is abstracted to a degree. We do not have direct control over it, though we do have a large degree of control, i.e. the units that are sent to the front, the units that are rested and refitted, and ultimately we can draw forces from the east to support operations in the west, and send forces from the west to support operations in the east. As you can see here, the difficulty settings indicates the appropriate level of morale, fort build level, logistics, transport, and administrative. So then, we're going to go with our preferences over here. So obviously the normal preferences, of course. We have area execution phases detail. As a new player, this is what you'll be fine with. Obviously, if you'd like to see more, you can increase that. But we'll go with low for the moment in time. So we have the unit value display type here. So basically on the actual hex counters, the counters representing divisions, etc., you could have either their number or their name. I like the name. And then we have unit counter info here. So we have combat value and the movement points they have, which I find to be the most useful. So, here we go. We're going to go with Operation Husky. If I can find it. Yep, there we go. Introductory scenario, Operation Husky. Having spent 3 long years in the wilderness of war, British troops finally crossed the Mediterranean to sail the outward bulkhead of Hitler's fortress Europa. Unlike the past, Operation Husky is no pinprick commander raid but a full-scale invasion. The British have come to Sicily with the American army, and they have come to stay. The liberation of Europe has begun. Now the scenario overview here. So focus entirely on Sicily, the Allied goal is to conquer the entire island as quickly as possible. Construction of the Axis Air Force should also be a major goal. The Axis goal is to delay the the Allies while minimizing losses. Holding Messina at the end of the game is a must. So the scenario is a short scenario, and perfect for an introduction. So here we go. Okay. So, this is going to be the first screen you see when you load into the scenario. And what this basically is your automatic air directive creation, which you do not have to use if you do not want to. The option is most definitely there. So we're going to go through and I'm going to explain how this works. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the top, so show air directives. Now you might be wondering, what the hell does this mean? So, we have the different directives in play. And we have the different commands. As you can see, we have strategic, tactical, and the Maltese Air Command. You can see where they're basing from, so these lines indicate where they're basing from and where they will return. We can see how many planes are assigned to this mission by hovering over this. We can also see the details of the air directive. So we can see the target hex is 151293. We can see the area of the actual box, which is 4, covering a number of hexes. We have the day-night setting. You can have it set to both if you'd like. Intensity is medium. We have about 96 planes assigned in total. The weather is all conditions, which you can change. You can set the number of days that they fly, so at this moment we are flying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc, etc. And then we have altitude, priority. There we go. Right then. So, you might be wondering, well, how the hell do I create an air directive? So we have ground support over here. So, to understand how to assign an air directive, you also need to understand what we have in terms of air power. So what we can do to do that is go over here to info screens. We can go and select this one, known as Order of Battle. So we have the AFHQ over here, under the command of Dwight D. Eisenhower. So you can see we have 940, 131,000. 940,131, excuse me. 5,858 guns, 1,470 armoured fighting vehicles. As we can see our numbers of planes, well, the Axis number of planes over here. So they have 1,123 in total, with 1,016 ready. Now this is a number to take note of, this is what they have in total, but these are the ones that are available for action as of this moment in time. The Italian Air Force, 675 total, 374 ready. So we can see our totals down here. So for the British, we have all our planes ready. For the Americans, we have almost all of our planes ready. For the Western Allies, so other allies, we can have a few here. So you can see here that we have almost, well, just over double the amount of planes that they have available. Okay, so you can see here the Mediterranean Allied Air Force under the command of Arthur W. Teddy. So you can see here in the Mediterranean we have a total of 1,289 fighters, 1,518 bombers, 793 auxiliary aircraft. So we can see here with the Maltese Air Command, the Strategic Air Command, the Tactical Air Force, the Coastal Air Force, and the Troop Carrier Command, the 12th Troop Carrier Command. We can see who commands them. And there we go, so we can see the squadrons assigned as such. So you do not need to take a look at this order of battle screen, though I do find it to be quite helpful, and for a new player, it will definitely help out. You can see what you have available, you can see who is assigned to who, and you can even change the commanders if you'd like by over here. So we just have it dismissed, and replace another commander should we wish. Though that will be something explained in a future episode. Okay. So now we have a vague indication of how many planes we have, we need to know how to use them. So we have the different directives down here. So this is no directive, we have ground support. So basically, we have a ground support mission over here. So now, we have this mission supporting this force, so if we take a look at it, you can see here that they will support the 15th British Rifle Army Group over here. So all units under the command of this force will be supported by air assets. We can see they'll be supported by some Hurricanes, some Kitty Hawks. So not too many planes, but you can see that they're going to have some support in that field. Now we have ground attack. Ground attack missions are very important. You can definitely, you can organize it how you'd like. You can change target priorities, that sort of thing. So if we take a look at advanced options, we can see the strike number, the number of airstrikes per day. We can see that we're going to fly on a Tuesday, etc, etc, etc. We can see the planes that we have available. We can see their altitude that they will fly at. You can see their priority. There we go. You can see the staging base over here. We can see their target. Now you can quite easily edit these options, and we'll go through that soon enough. We're just going to take a look at the different forms of missions for the moment in time. Then we have the Strategic Bombing Directive. Now, what we can do for this is by pressing this button over here, toggle factory location. You can see by taking a look at Italy, for example, that over here in Terney, we have rail yard, manpower, resource production, and heavy industry. So, the best way to utilize the Strategic Air Command is to bomb the living hell out of strategic targets such as industry, rail yards, rail centres, basically centres of logistics and production. And then we have air reconnaissance. Now in war, reconnaissance and logistics are king. If you know where the enemy is, if you can predict where the enemy will be and what he will do, then you can respond to that effectively. But you also need to have logistics. So you can see here that we have a number of planes assigned, a hell of a lot of planes. Though still probably not enough for what I'd like. And then of course we have the air superiority mission. A number of Spitfires. Not too many, nothing too fancy. Naval Patrol. So basically what this means, if we were to patrol the Straits of Messina, for example, if troops were to ferry across, then we would be able to intercept them potentially, and potentially inflict large losses on these forces ferrying across. Or make it more difficult for them. And then we have this one. Now this one is fairly important, this is air transfer mode. So we can see here all of the planes in the theatre and where they are. Now green represents fighters, red represents bombers, and then let's find it. Where are you? Looking for some auxiliaries. Now, so if you find yourself looking for aircraft as I am, what you can do here is you can go by aircraft type, so AC type. We can look for some transports. And here we go, so we can see that we have them over here. There we go. So we have our transports. Level bombers. You can see we have them over here. Yes, so generally auxiliary are represented by blue. I'm unsure why it's not showing now, but we'll move on anyway. So yes, what we can also do then is we have the air headquarters, so you can see all the planes, all the squadrons assigned to that command at the different airfields. So you can see here, at Constantine, we have the 2nd US Air Force Level Bomber Group, which is a number of 37 B-17 Fortresses. So if we were to take this squadron over here, so we can see here, yeah, 2nd US Air Force Level Bomber Group, we can see the pilots, their experience, the number of kills they've inflicted, the average experience of the squadron, the number of planes, sorry, the number of pilots. We can see the status of our planes over here, so we can see these planes are damaged and that they are in repair. So, we don't have the full squadron available, but we do have them. Fatigue of the squadron is 14, their morale is decent at 75, experience is quite high. 37 ready, 6 damaged, so that's good. We have 0 in reserve, 144 aircraft in pool, and 48 pilots ready. Okay, so you can see here, their settings are day and night, replacements are normal. We can change this to restricted, so they will receive 0. Priority where they will receive them, obviously, as a priority. We can have the aircraft change on manual or auto. And if we had it on manual, you can designate the kind of plane they will change to. So for example, if I wanted to change this squadron over to using the B-24D Liberator, I could have them told to upgrade to that plane. Or of course in the future, we could have them upgrade to B-17Gs, or the B-24H/J Liberator. This is what you can do, so you can see here number of factories. So we have 0 factories producing the B-24 Liberator at the moment, the B-24D model at the moment. Though you can see it's in the pool, we still have 108, and in the air groups we have 137. So for the future you'd probably think, oh well, we don't have factories allocated to producing this anymore, we might as well change over to the new model once we're able to. So there we go. Now you can also, from this screen over here, and just to go over how we access this screen, you can do it in a number of ways. So we'll take a look at the airbase at Constantine, which is here. So you can see at Constantine we have the 2nd US Air Force Level Bomber Group. Now we're going to show another way. So if I was to go to Constantine, you can see we have the airbase here, and you can see the squadron represented. Another way to do it is to go over here, so it brings up the actual settlement. Click on the US airbase, and then you can click on assigned, and you can see the aircraft, the squadron, the number ready, and how much they've travelled in this week. So this is something to bear in mind. So we're going to select the 37th and the 37 bombers of the 2nd US Air Force Level Bomber Group. And let's say we'd like to have them moved to an airbase closer by. What we can do then is we can have them move from there. So what we'll do is we'll click on the airbase here. And to bring that up, we check this box. And let's say, where do we want to move them? Blue indicates the airfields assigned to that command. So, we could move them over here, potentially. Or do we want to move them over here? That is something to bear in mind. I think we'll move them closer to tuners. Now, something to bear in mind when selecting airfields is the level of airfield. So we can see over here in Sicily, for example, we have a level 1 airfield, which is indicated by this icon, a level 2 airfield, and let's see, this represents a level 3 airfield. So this indicates the amount of planes that they can handle, the amount that they can repair, and obviously just maintain. So there we go. So we can see that this airbase is almost full. It has a capacity of 350. It currently has 247 planes at the moment in time. That is very helpful to know. So that's a quick rundown of how to use the air transfer. You can take a look at air bases. You can see which ones are assigned to the different air commands. You can take a look at the actual individual aircraft and what they're able to be used for, their models basically. And then the air headquarters. Gives you basically all of that in one go. So that is air transfer. And now we have air doctrine. So air doctrines, you can indicate from this screen basically the different commands. So say we want the Maltese air command to not fly on this day, we want them to instead fly on this day. Then you can do that from the screen here. You can set the minimum mission percentage, the amount of planes that they need, escort percentage, so basically how many planes you need escorting as a percentage that mission, otherwise the mission will not go ahead. Very handy. It's something to very much look at in the future as a new player, so basically you don't lose too many planes. And you can set that for the different directives. You can see pilots over here, training experience, ground support as well. So there we go. That was air doctrines. We have air directive summary. So this will show you all the different directives assigned to the different air commands for the time being. The altitude at which they'll fly, the size of the area, the base that they're staging from. You can see the intensity, the timeline. So basically we have day, but this is day and night. The number of raids, obviously this will update as we conduct them. Sorties, lost, damaged, enemy, execution detail. Naval Patrol. So, moving on, we now have this button over here. So basically you can have the AI move and automatically manage your air bases. You could see there's a small transfer over here. And then you have the AI automatic directive creation, which we'll go over in a moment. And then we have the battles. So what this will indicate in the future, once we have resolution, well, gone through turn resolution, is you'll have the battle sites. So now at the moment we have air and ground. At the moment we have it on ground, air, all. Now you can click on the filter and you can filter what kind of icon you'd like to see. So for example, if we would like to see only air combat, I could click this and check that and only have air combat. Or I could have paradrop, bomb rail and air combat. It's honestly up to you as a player what you'd like to see. Okay. So with that explained, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how you can create your own directive. It's relatively simple. So now we need to decide what kind of mission we want. So if we were to take a look at Sicily, so you can see all these hexes over here. The grey hexes represent formations. Grey indicates German, but because we have no information, we can't discern whether these are Italian forces in here as well. So we're going to automatically assume that they are German, which is worst for us. I'd rather these be Italian, as Italian forces are much easier to break. So we have the port of Catania. Catania is a very important port. We have Messina, and we have Palermo. So we also have these rail lines over here. Now, if we go back over here, we can see industry again highlighted. We can take a look at Catania. So we can see that Catania is a level 4 port. We can see that Messina is a level 4 port. It has 35% damage. Palermo is a level 5 port with 63% damage. It also produces a certain type of aircraft potentially over here. So let's see. We have 63% damage there. We have 65% damage over here, but only 35 here. So let's say if I was wanting to go over here, we can click on the Strategic Bombing Air Directive. Now I can go over here to Strategic Air Command. So you can see here, we have a number of cities to choose from. So let's look on the list. We're looking for Messina. There we go, just gone past it. Messina. So you can see here the factory types. We have a port and a rail yard. Their number there. The damage. The RNG. I'm not entirely sure what that would say. Oh, sorry, range. So there we go. Select Messina. And we click on the target hex over here. So Messina. Now then. So we have the target selected. I could change the priorities over here. Now this shows you basically priorities. So for this hex we have rail yard of course, but we want to target the port. So we're going to have the port on high priority and we're going to have the rail yard on ignore for the time being. We want to focus on damaging that port. So we can click done. We can see that we're going to stage from this base over here at Galibia. Now that's fine. That works for me. We could obviously change it if we capture a base closer to the front line. The area is 0, so the hex targeted only. We are going to do this at day. I could change that to night or day. Intensity is going to be either low, medium, or high. We'll go for medium. We can see here the groups that we can assign. So we click onto that, so we'll go back through that again. So you can see here groups. Now we have B-17s, we have B-24s, we have B-25Js, we have B-26. We have Halifax, Wellington, bombers of different types. We have some escort aircraft over here. So let's say we'll assign all of these planes. So I can press assign all groups. So you can see here, now all these planes. Now these planes are indicated that they can do both. Now you might wonder what this means. So LB represents level bomber. FBF represents fighter bomber fighter. So now if we take a look at this actual squadron, the 14th US Air Force Fighter Bomber Group, you can see that we have some P-38G/H Lightnings. You can see that their mission is currently set as fighter. I can change that to bomber, but we're going to change that to fighter. So notice that this loadout changed over here. You can manually change this loadout. So we currently have the drop tanks assigned. So you can see this indicates a change in their stats. So we lose 40 miles per hour in top speed. Our climb rate suffers, though our range increases. Maneuver decreases slightly, but our range has increased, which is quite good. So you can see here we can have larger drop tanks. We could carry 2 500-pound M64 bombs, or we could carry 2 1,000-pound M65 bombs. You can see the change it would have on the actual plane stats. We can have applied that to the P-38 in this airbase, in the Directive, in the Strategic Air Force, or in the Allied Air Force in total. So, we're going to go with just these. So that works for me. So there we go. So they are assigned to this. Now, the ready pinky represents that we have this group selected. So what we have over here then is groups that are in the Strategic Air Command, but they're not able to be assigned for different reasons. So if we take a look at these P-38 liners, we can see that they're out of range. We have some P-40 Warhawks as well. And we have some more B-25Js over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the air transfer. We're going to take all of these planes. So we'll take the P-38 Lightnings to begin with. And you can see over here. So this indicates range. Now we'll have them, let's say, assigned over here. And there we go. So we have the B-25Js. We'll have them assigned down here. Notice we have an exclamation mark. This indicates that the airfield is over capacity at this moment in time. So what we can do then is we can have them transferred over here. So if we take a look, you can see they've only travelled 1% of their total, which is fine. Now then, going back to this, so we click on this once more, go over here, you can see that we have not confirmed this yet, so we'll go over here, and because I didn't click on confirm, that didn't save. So this is just showing you what happens if you do not do that. So we're going to have these all assigned again. Notice that these are now in range, and we'll have those B-25s in there too. So assign all groups, done, confirm. Confirm air directive, confirmed air directive. Good. So we now have about 569 bombers with 86 escorting aircraft. Now I can increase that by moving these squadrons in there too. So notice these P-38 Lightnings on fighter bomber. I can click this and have them on fighter bomber fighter. Then they can be added in here. Now this squadron needs to be moved closer to the front line. So we can have you moved up over to here. I think that would be appropriate. Where did they go? We'll go back and find that. So I can click over here, and there we go. So they are at... over here. And there we go. So we'll have them transferred to the airbase over here. Okay, click once more over here. Now, for whichever reason, they may not just have the range to be able to carry this mission out. So we'll have to accept that. So there we go. Done. So you can see the number of planes, the squadrons, etc, etc. Right then. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to here, so show directive summary. Then we can go over here to air directive, automatic air directive. Or we can do that... Whoops, where are we? Over here. So now we have these two boxes checked. So that is Tactical Air Mediterranean, Strategic Air Day. So you can see here we can change all the priorities for the targets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Tactical Air Mediterranean on or off. If I have it off, that is human control. If I have on the on, that is AI control. Same over here, off, on. Even with this on, it doesn't necessarily mean that the AI will take control unless you tell it to. So what we can do then is we can set our air directives. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it as it is for the time being. Set our air directives. There we go. So they've been programmed in. Now we have this button over here, Amphibious Support South. So we can have that checked on or checked off. Now what that does is it changes all the priorities. So what we're going to do then is going to take a look over here. Notice because we put those already in, that they've not changed. So that's fine. Now we can see our summary. We can see our strategic mission over here. We'll go back. And there we go. Awesome. I can click this mission button over here, so execute air directives. And we'll execute them. So you can pause at any time and take a look at the different messages over here. You can see statistics. We can also press the numerical values over here on the keyboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So that will change the level of detail. So on 5 you'll see even more detail. We can see what's there with the amount of aircraft, etc. Anti-aircraft. You can see the combat. If I was to pause this, we could take a closer look. I find possibly 2 or 3 to be round about the best. You get a good amount of detail, and it doesn't take you long. So we're going to go with 2. Yep, so you can see we damaged something over there. Now, if this is taking too long for you, you can change it to 1. So notice the number of sorties is calculated, the number of air directives, naval losses by category, so we lost 106 planes over here. Well, the Axis did. We lost 126 in the air combat. And there you go, you gain a summary. So now what you can do is you can click on this. You can see the number of planes lost. You can see by type, so fighter, level bomber, auxiliary. Location. There we go. So you can see here, target was a rail yard. You can see the damage inflicted, etc, etc. Okay. So, one more thing really to go over in regards to air. So if we were to go over here to info screens, we have this button over here, so show weather. Now this might be a little bit complicated looking, but you can select air. And so we are on July 3rd. If I wanted to see the weather for the next turn, I can click over here. And we can see that we have a band of rain moving down south. but we know that next week we'll have clear enough weather to go ahead with anything that we desire. Weather does have a dramatic impact depending on the type of weather. We're going to see the dominating weather conditions at the time of year, what kind of weather, etc. So, if we take a look at climate zones, we can see here via colour that the Mediterranean is a temperate humid or temperate dry. Temperate humid to the north, temperate dry down here in the centre. And that allows you to figure things out really. You can plan ahead and you can decide when I want to launch a certain kind of air campaign. There we go. Now something else that we do need to go over is once again clicking over here, air transfer. And if I was to click on a airbase of La Masa, we can see here going over to assigned, we have assigned from National Reserve. So if we had any planes in the National Reserve or new planes that come in, new squadrons, then we could have assigned them from the screen to that airbase. So that is a extremely quick and dirty explanation of how the air phases work. Now another way to see the details here, if we go over to the event log, we have all of these, so we can deselect, we can go to factory damage, we can see that we didn't really damage any true factories, we can see air execution data, we can see that 11 train missions were flown, 2 pilots improved their skills, 12 tons of fuel was expended, the number of planes damaged, and obviously being under repair. Okay. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and girls of course. I hope this will be helpful for you in your future campaigns in getting Grigsby to in the West. I wish the best to you, and I hope you forgive my terrible video. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now. I hope you enjoy this game tremendously.